The 4-point rule. Let's talk about it, because preparation is the best key to success, and I'm very sure that DWP in particular are going to be bringing this in, and so are going to be PIP. The information I'm going to be giving you is going to be particularly helpful as well if you have a disability at work and you're going to be needing to evidence your disability, either for PIP applications, PIP renewals, PIP manual reconsiderations, or simply to evidence your disability and how it affects you in the workplace. I'm apologising yet again because I have a weak immune system. I have another cold, just had a fever for the last 3 days again. I know. The mic is on full whack. I've got some special editing software to kind of, hopefully make sure you can hear me through the snuffles, but let's get on with it. So if you didn't already know, the 4-point rule is going to be applied, I believe, from November 2026, November 2026, for anybody who is currently in receipt of PIP. They say new applications. They say, okay, let's start here. They say, I'm just going to say anyone on PIP. I know some of you are going to be coming for me in the comments, but if you're already on PIP, they're going to find a way to downgrade you. Trust me, just trust me on this. If you want to be naive and go, it's only going to apply for new claims, then, do you. I'm going to do me. I've worked there. I know what they can be like. So here we go. So this is, by the way, available on the justicejournals.com. So this is exactly, it will break down exactly what the PIP points are, why they're important, and all of these things here, which are called descriptors, right? So the descriptors are these little sentences in the 10 different sections, and every single one has a point, or in this case has 0 point. Now, what DWP, or what they're saying, is that you need to be getting 4 points on one descriptor, not a combination of the descriptors, on one descriptor in daily activities, right? Okay, so that is really, really, really important. And I think a lot of this is because they are wanting to stop people with mental health illnesses in particular, who don't have acute, I would say, mental health illnesses or mental health conditions, from claiming PIP, because they believe that people with mental health conditions, unless they're acute, so acute meaning a serious safeguarding risk for themselves or somebody else, would be better off in work. Their words, not mine. Okay, so these are the different areas, and I'm going to talk you through some of these things, right? But as always, this is only like a part of the evidence. There's a whole system between evidence in PIP if you want to be successful. All of the people that I help are always successful with PIP currently, and that's because of the evidence system that I've built. It is available for people to download and use if you are a member of the Justice Journals. So there we go. Right, here we are. Preparing food. Can prepare and cook a simple meal unaided. So obviously if you can cook and prepare food, they're saying, yeah, 0 points. Now, I'm not going to go through them all, right? I'm just going to focus on the ones that are 4 points and above, and I'm just going to give you some ideas, okay? So, needs supervision or assistance to either prepare or cook a simple meal. You do not have to have a seriously debilitating condition in order to get these 4 points. I will use myself as an example. I have a number of different things, but the one I'm going to talk about today is very serious osteoarthritis as a result of my car crash. I have an incredibly weak right side because I was hit at 60 miles an hour by a car, which did alter an awful lot of my bone structure and basic bone density, or a whole load of things, right? So I would not be able to reach up to a microwave and take a plate of food and bring it down. I would not be able to do that. My right hand would give way. In the same way, I would not be able to do it from a hob, right, that is, or an oven that is down low. That's also because I have another condition, which is crepitus in my neck, which can be very painful. So, for example, how would I respond to this? Need supervision or assistance? Well, I do actually. Anything that is like, for example, potatoes in a pan or a pasta pan full of water, I would not drain that. One of my sons would drain it. We do pre-cook quite a lot because of this. So that's helping me to prepare to cook. Also, all of our kitchen equipment, plates, pans, whatever, is all lightweight and very, very small. IKEA do a really good range of small, lightweight things for the kitchen. So that is another way that you can evidence that you need supervision or assistance. Another thing is having help or assistance to prepare or cook a simple meal, right? If you're cutting vegetables, swedes, sometimes even carrots, butternut squashes, there is no way in this world I would be able to chop through that with my hand. And sometimes it's not always possible to buy pre-chopped stuff. One, it's always expensive. We all know that as soon as you've chopped into a fruit or vegetable, it starts to lose its vitamins anyway. So I would ask my son to do that, or one of my sons to do that, and they're normally quite good. The other things is lids of jars, even dolmio, things like that, I can't unscrew. So if I know I'm going to be trying to, cook some food for later on, I would ask them, can you unscrew this or that, or open certain things and leave it for me in the fridge? There's an example. So how does that affect my life adversely? Well, if somebody can't open those things for me, I can't prepare the food. It's as simple as that. If somebody can't drain the pasta for me or the potatoes for me, I can't do that. Okay, so that is one of the examples that you could give. Now, you might get a smart aleck PIP assessor that's going to go, but could you heat up a microwavable meal? Now, this is the point where you literally need to say no, right? Because it says here, need supervision or assistance to either prepare or cook a simple meal. It doesn't say reheat, right? So prepare a meal is washing vegetables or washing, ingredients, cutting them, opening tins. Cooking involves, a hob, a gas hob, electric hob, an oven, whatever it is. It is not reheating. So number one, be very, very careful about that. And if they box you in and go, yeah, but could you? Just say, well, no, I mean, I couldn't because of how my kitchen is, So how the logistics of your kitchen, where your oven is in relation to your worktop. Do you have any other support devices around you? Are all really important. You can take photographs of this. So after my car crash, I actually paid to have a lot of my house rehabilitated, basically, to assist me in particular with things like this. So I have a very small galley kitchen because of this, and I literally have to put my hands down on one side, and I have a support service that I can lean on. So there is an example of how you can give evidence on preparing and cooking food. Now, you might not be able to prepare and cook food at all, right? And again, you need to go through the mind steps in your brain through the actual activity itself to clearly detail why you cannot prepare and cook food. It's not good enough to say, no, I cannot prepare and cook food because I have got one arm. They might say, well, you can't use the other one, which would be horrific, I must admit. But, you're dancing with the devil with some of these assessors. So always think it is not the condition, right? It's how it impacts your day, okay? Or how it impacts your day and how it affects your disability adversely. Excuse me, guys. A cold makes me like a little bit cotton woolly in the head. Right, I'm going to go on to the second one. I'm not going to go through them all, but this is a really good one, right? Taking nutrition. Lots of people could get 4 points on taking nutrition alone, okay? And it is number 4. So it needs prompting to be able to take nutrition. I need prompting to take my nutrition. I never feel hungry. Part of that is some of my conditions, and part of that is actually because of the meds that I actually take. So I set myself on my phone an alarm for eating, even snacks. So I make sure I go where I need to go, go to the kitchen or turn around and get a drink and actually take my drink, watch my water consumption as well. But most importantly, nutrition. So it doesn't have to be, you have to have this massive, chaotic, hyper, logistic system. If you need to set an alarm on your phone, or maybe you need a little bit of emotional support, maybe you're depressed, right? Even if you set your phone, you might need like a family member or like your mum or a friend to kind of like nurture you along. I know when I was very badly depressed when I was working for DWP that my mum would actually do this, because she would go like, have you eaten something? And my mum would literally make me, right, come on, get yourself on like WhatsApp, FaceTime, go downstairs. I want to see you eat something, So that, again, could be an example of, I do need prompting. My mum or my sister will phone me and support me, making sure I take my nutrition. What happens if they don't what happens if they don't call you? Well, I'm not going to eat. It's going to affect my mood. I'm going to get even more depressed. We'll probably get loads of stomach upset, etc. from my meds, and would feel even more lethargic, and it would just affect all of my other health conditions as well. And then you would go on to explain exactly what the effects of that would be. Don't state the conditions. Explain what the effects would be. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I have sometimes had people that have booked one-to-ones with me through the Justice Journals to do PIP applications. They've got no medical evidence whatsoever. And when I speak to them, I can tell immediately that they're just reading this from some sort of script, right? That they don't actually have this genuine condition. It's very easy to spot. And sometimes people fall into that trap of reeling off conditions or floundering, not being able to give a response when they're asked a question by a PIP assessor because of the fear as well. So sometimes it isn't always that people, are trying to blag it. It's just that you're on the spot. Lots of people aren't good at thinking on the spot, and that's okay, right? So if that is you, you need to say, right, I'm sorry, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now. I'm just going to take a pause for a moment. Don't request the permission. Say, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm going to take a little pause. And then literally put your phone on pause and then go off to wherever it is that you need to go, or just think about what they're saying and how you're going to respond to it. And if you are somebody that is suffering with mental health conditions, for example, this is going to be a very good example of how you are struggling to deal with a day-to-day communication in particular. If you get easily overwhelmed and all the rest of it, then, request the pause, regather your thoughts, and then go back to it, because they will have to had to pause because claimant was feeling overwhelmed. And you should also, don't forget, be requesting a complete transcript of this, as well as recording it yourself. I'm going to be giving you a little checklist at the end of this, guys. Right, I'm going to go straight on to quite an oddish one, I think, for most people. Here's another way most people could quite easily attain 4 points, right? needs assistance to be able to dress or undress their upper body. Now, that could be assistance doesn't always necessarily mean a person, right? It doesn't necessarily mean an actual physical person. It could be a prop. It could be a tool that you use. It could be an aid. It could simply be that you must only be using or can only use buy clothing that you can like don't have to put over your head, for example, for some people, because you might not be able to raise your arms up, or have something that like has magnetic poppers. You might not be able to do the buttons, something like that. Now, I know it says here on point 2, needs to use an aid or appliance to be able to dress or undress, which is 2 points. They might say, oh yeah, but you know, actually what you've just said would only qualify you for 2 points. Now pay very close attention to the next part, because this is where they're going to try and lay those red herrings. In fact, if you look at this closely, they already have. And I'm going to explain to you how you can, honestly, if this is you, communicate this to them so that you get your 4 points, which you are entitled to if you do have a disability that affects your life adversely, instead of being stitched up by a kipper, by a PIP assessor. So first of all, let's look at what these 2 points, so number 2, descriptor, we're going to look at descriptor number 2 and descriptor number 5 actually legally mean according to the PIP rules. So the first one is the 2 points, the rule here is that you can do the task reliably if you have the gadget, i.e. button, hook, dressing stick, Velcro clothing, Lycra. As everyone can see, most of my stuff is always Lycra. You'll hardly ever see me with actual real buttons. And the one for the 4 points here, okay, the one for the 4 points is even with any reasonable aid, you still can't do the upper body bit reliably without another person's physical help. Assistance is defined in the regulations as hands-on from a person, not speech, not technology, not a rail, not a gadget. However, the test is on your underlying need. Very, very important. Not on whether you have somebody to help you on the day-to-day. Now, I'm going to be very clear here. The guidance states, here it is here. The guidance is explicit that the assessor must ignore availability and look at what you would need to do the task reliably, i.e. safely, to an acceptable standard, repeatedly, and in a reasonable time, no more than twice as long as a non-disabled person. This is the comparative in the Equality Act by law, right? This is this same element here. This is also the same rules that can be used. You know, when I said the microwave, you know, yeah, but could you do that? I could probably put something in there if I really, really tried, but I wouldn't get it out. If I got it out, I would risk burning myself. So no, I would not be able, I wouldn't do that. It's one of the reasons why I wouldn't do it, because I would not be able to do it safely. So again, knowing these rules is knowing your rights, because they're not going to tell you this, right? So you need to, you know, you've got to know this, screenshot it, write it down, or better still, become a member of the Justice Journals, and you will have it all laid out for you, and that will reduce an awful lot of the stress, trust me. So if you currently struggle on a loan, take dangerous shortcuts, or take ages and end up in pain, okay, but a person's physical help would remove those problems, but maybe you're not in the position, or you don't know anybody, or you don't have the finances to pay someone, then the assistance descriptor can still apply. Sorry, guys. So let me give you an example. Another one. Let's just say you have severe shoulder, spinal, or neurological problems, and your arm will not lift above chest height. Now, obviously, a PIP assessor is going to be reaching for an aid that you can use. No pun intended there. They'll be thinking, oh, but what aid could this person possibly use to overcome this? And again, they'll be going down the lines of, yeah, but couldn't you just use a long-handled aid most days? Couldn't you do that? Don't forget, when you're doing your PIP application, you need to be thinking in your head on your worst possible day, right? On the worst possible day that you have, that's how you need to be thinking on your PIP application. And your reply would be, well, an aid would actually be completely, not sufficient at all for my disability, because long-handled aids can't get a jumper over your head or arms through sleeves. And if you've already got a problem that you can't raise your arm above your chest and you're having to try and maneuver some kind of extra long thing, which is another extension of your arm, that can actually do you even more damage, especially if you've got tendon pulls or etc. etc. So your response would be, physical intervention is needed. A helper raises, pulls the garment, stretches it out or makes it to the right size, and supports the arm weight as well. So particularly if you're your parent, remember when you've got your children and they're putting their hands up, you quite often will hold part of their hand or that bit of their arm whilst you're putting something over, and that in itself retains or takes you bear the weight of that. Now, this is just one example, guys, and this is just a very, very small part of the evidencing that is required to be successful with PIP and be compliant with it too. Now, over at the Justice Journals, members actually get access to the complete PIP plan system, which is something that I've created because there are an awful lot of conditions and you cannot create one resource for everybody. And that is also one of the reasons why I created this bad boy, which is Justice Writer Pro. So as a Justice Journals member, you get full access to this. You can use it for writing your PIP letters. It will actually write the letter for you, and you press a button and you can save it in Google Docs or whatever. You can also ask it questions. If you don't want a letter, that's fine. It's perfect for manual reconsiderations as well, as long as you're putting in the right information. But don't worry, because Justice Writer Pro will be asking you very pertinent and important questions so that you can do that. So this is only available for Justice Journals members. So go along to thejusticejournals.com, and don't forget, we also have our monthly private live Q&A with me. Sometimes I have different people as well that are working inside the Justice Journals from all different areas, be it legal, NHS, etc, etc. So if you're a member, you can also submit questions before we have the live if there is something specific that you want to ask, and get even more tools, resources, support. There's loads more stuff inside the Justice Journals than this, but this is already pretty phenomenal, I'm not going to lie. Anyway, guys, I hope this helps you out a little bit. I hope it tries to break things down a little bit more for you. And don't forget, as I said, this is a very, 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 very small part of the evidence. It's not just saying this is not enough. You need to be able to evidence that as well. And again, we've got more resources for you to do that inside the Justice Journals. So have a lovely day. I hope this has helped. Remove the stress, guys. Preparation is the key to success. And if you have a disability, you are entitled to PIP if it affects your life adversely. So stop thinking that you're a robber in the night and realise that this is actually your entitlement. Have a great day, guys. Over and out.